I'm gonna give you the quick and easy, not like the stages and stages and stages and all the details and everything I give you in the bundle birth class. But in this, I'm gonna talk you through all the things that need to happen to get you to baby. I talk so much about labor and your cervix and the baby and positions and complications and all the things related to labor and birth. I have cervix videos, I have stages of labor, I have what is labor, and all of the above. But I have not shared the quick and dirty what happens during labor video. The very first thing that has to happen, this may seem like common sense, but it really isn't that common sense because we don't know why it happens, is labor has to start. And by labor, I mean contractions that change your cervix. And so those contractions happen in your cervix, which is ending up being like your entire abdomen by the time you're fully term, meaning 37 weeks and beyond. And so labor is going to start. Contractions are gonna start. Sometimes labor starts with your water breaking, and sometimes your labor starts with contractions. Now, a lot of times if you don't have contractions after your water breaks, technically you're not in labor, because the definition of labor is when your cervix changes with contractions. So if you're not having any contractions and your cervix isn't changing, technically you're not in labor, even if your water breaks. I talk about all of that again in my class. So water can break, but we have to have contractions that start. My theory on labor starts, and if you want like a full what makes labor start, what's all the like theories behind it, what are all the components that we think happen, and to me it's probably like a combination of all these things, but baby has to engage in the pelvis. And so, of course, I have my trusty pelvis here, right? And so we have the pelvis in the body, and ideally, your baby needs to lower into the pelvis. What that does is it puts pressure on the cervix. That pressure tells the brain, release a little bit of oxytocin. Oxytocin being your love hormone, but also being your contraction hormone, then causes more contractions, causes stronger, more frequent contractions, putting more pressure on the cervix, more prostaglandin hormone, more oxytocin, etc. So it's like this feedback loop. And so we need, as a part of the labor process, we can't have baby floating around high in the sky forever, right? It needs to come down into your pelvis, into the outside world. So it needs to move this way. Labor has to start, meaning contractions begin. That's step number one. Also, your baby participates with you in labor. I know when I was a nurse, I took this like community childbirth class with a very famous doula in the community, and I remember her being like, the journey is with your baby and your body, and your baby's going through the whole process and like all this baby stuff. And I remember thinking like, what in the world is with this baby stuff? Now, mind you, I eat my words, because if we think about nursing school, I learned about something called the cardinal movements. And what that is that the baby does actually have to go through a process of engaging, of descending. It rotates, it wiggles. I say it like in my physiologic birth class for nurses, I say it like pinballs its way through the pelvis. And it has to navigate by tucking its chin, getting in that fetal position. That's gonna help your labor. And then as it lowers, it's going to rotate and twist and eventually come down and down and down until it eventually comes out. And so the second thing that needs to happen is the baby needs to come down in the pelvis. If you watch my Engage the Baby video, if you watch my entire childbirth class, I give you tips for how to engage the baby, because the more pressure on the cervix, the more contractions, the more the baby comes down. As your baby is coming down, those contractions need to get stronger and closer together. So if you look at my stages of labor cheat sheet that I actually have available on our website, basically it talks about how the cervix changes, right? It goes from closed, meaning 0 centimeters, all the way to 10 centimeters. And the only way that's gonna happen is with strong, frequent contractions. And so early labor, when you start out, things are like irregular. They're happening when they're happening. They're not that painful. And then they start to get more regular. And then they get more strong. And then they get more frequent. So now you're having a contraction every 2 to 4, 2 to 5 minutes. And that is changing your cervix. And so the next thing that has to happen is those contractions, which really are the uterus, and the uterus, at the base of the uterus is the cervix, so it's a part of the uterus. That cervix needs to thin out and eventually move all the way out of the way. And it's the combination of those contractions and all the hormone changes and your baby putting pressure on that cervix that help to make that cervix fully move away. What that means is you're 10 centimeters. Once you get to 10 centimeters, then it's time to push. And so I think a lot of times I hear, and this is a misnomer, that when are we gonna be in labor? It's normally the partner that says it when you've been contracting and coping and in labor technically for days potentially, okay? So the process of labor is those contractions. We don't start pushing until your cervix is fully out of the way. That can take a day, that can take a few hours, that can take a couple days, flex and flow. But once it's out of the way, then the combination of you and your pushing efforts with the pressure of the contractions, you're still having contractions, those contractions are pushing the baby down, and the baby like wiggling his way or her way or whoever way down into the pelvis, that those three things together bring your baby down and out eventually the stretching of your vagina hole into the world. That is the nitty gritty, okay? That is like the very quick hit. I actually show this process and I go over this in my nursing class because sometimes we need that basic foundational understanding in order to build on our knowledge. And so one of the things that you can control for your labor birth, for your parenting, for your pregnancy, for your life, is that we can engage with our learning. We can learn to advocate for ourselves. We can know what feels right, what doesn't feel right. Learn your instinct. Visualize yourself through your birth. And so I'm gonna recommend to you, of course, if you want more, I have literally hours and hours of content of every detail that happens in this very complex but such a beautiful, amazing process. There's so many things that need to align in order for you to have that vaginal birth, and then sometimes it doesn't go totally as planned, and that's okay too. The only way to know is by trying. And so, of course, you can check out the description box down below for all of the things that we offer, including an online childbirth class, including coping with labor, newborn safety, visualization. There's a free hospital visualization. If you're like, I'm not ready for that, I just wanna try the free stuff, there's lots of free options down in the description box. We'd love to join you on your journey as you continue to learn and pick up what you can control through your learning, everything to empower you for your labor, birth, and beyond. If you like this video, make sure you like it. Leave a comment down below of something that maybe was an aha for today or any other things that stood out to you. Make sure you subscribe. And then until next time, don't forget to flex and flow, and I will see you so soon. Bye.
Mic drop.
Mic drop.
Okay, tell us what you have on.
I fit check. So bodysuit is Skims. Belt is Shein. I don't support, but I did. Here. Pants are Zara. Necklace is H&M. Other necklace is Melinda Maria. Please sponsor me. Other necklace is Misoma. Please sponsor me. Earrings are Amazon. Clip is Amazon. That was fun. We should do that every time. I'll link everything down below. If you want it, I'll link it down below. It's fun. I'm such an influencer.